welcome to this live streaming about enhancing connectivity. Actually, the financial connectivity under the Belt and Road Initiative. I'm CGTN reporter Zou Yun. Well, maybe you can see me in front of the screen, but actually today is the very first day of the second Belt and Road Forum, which is scheduled with 12 parallel thematic sessions. And those sub-forums have different focuses, such as on policy communication, people-to-people exchanges, as well as the trade connectivity. And this one, the one you're watching right now, is themed on the financial connectivity. And you can follow us on various platforms, including CGTN apps, Weibo, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, etc. And as we know that the financing of infrastructure projects, it's a tough one given the fact that it's in need of huge amount of investment. The construction period usually takes very long, and if the project involves more than just one country, there's also the issue of various kinds of currencies. And that's why today China's senior officials, as well as heads of international financial institutions such as the IMF and the World Bank, will exchange ideas on how to enhance financial connectivity through diversifying financial systems and strengthening the global cooperation. And later in the forum, Chinese senior officials, including Finance Minister Liu Kun, Central Bank Governor Yi Gang, Chief Executive of Hong Kong, Carrie Lam, will all going to deliver their remarks. Meanwhile, there will also be guests from afar, including Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, Madame Christine Lagarde, and the newly selected President of the World Bank, David Malpass, and they're all going to address at the sub-forum. Well, actually, in the past 6 years, financial integration in the Belt and Road countries has been strengthened, and China's Ministry of Finance and counterparts in 27 countries, including Argentina, Russia, UK, Singapore, etc., have all endorsed the guiding principles on financing the development of the Belt and Road. And according to the principles, the countries participating in the Belt and Road Initiative support channeling of financial resources to serve the real economy of countries and regions involved, with priority given to such areas as infrastructure connectivity, trade and investment, and industrial cooperation, among others. And China has actually continued to open up its interbank bond market, and by the end of last year, about 200 billion yuan of panda bonds or yuan-denominated bonds have been issued, and that's around $30 billion. And China has also made bilateral currency swap arrangement with more than 20 Belt and Road countries and RMB clearing arrangement with 7 Belt and Road countries. Elaborating on the progress, contributions, and prospects of the Belt and Road Initiative, there's also a report recently released ahead of this forum, and said that to establish a diversified financial system because the projects related to the initiative mainly feature in huge amount of investment, and also to set up this kind of diversified financial system and channels. And the government should integrate resources of policy, financial institutions, development finance institutions, and commercial banks. So the efforts in the past 6 years has bring concrete outcomes, I would say, on enhancing financial connectivity. And today we will listen to both Chinese officials and guests from other countries and international financial institutions about shaping the future of the financial connectivity. So you can watch us live on a variety of different platforms, that being said, including CGTN apps, Weibo, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and we're now waiting for the start of this session, which is expected to start very soon.
IMF BRI 有可能接受采访，一般不会。那好吧，行，是吗？
Hello there and welcome to the live streaming about enhancing financial connectivity under the Belt and Road Initiative. Now you are now watching this sub-forum which is under the second Belt and Road Forum, and there actually today is the first day of the forum with which is scheduled with 12 parallel different sessions, and they have different focuses on policy coordination, people-to-people exchanges, as well as trade connectivity. And the one that you're seeing right now from the signal is focusing on the financial connectivity, which is actually one of the major issues for the building of the projects under the Belt and Road Initiative. And you can follow us on all the platforms, including CGTN app, seen on Weibo, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, etc.
The session will begin in a minute. Please take seated. Thank you for your cooperation.
About 1 minute, so you can follow us on all those platforms and also leave your comments if you have any. Also send your likes to us. Thank you.
Thank you for your cooperation.
尊敬的各位来宾，本次会议将于1分钟之后开始，请您尽快就座，并将手机等通讯设备关闭或置于静音状态。谢谢您的合作。
Ladies and gentlemen, the event will begin shortly in 1 minute. Can we please ask for you to kindly take your seats? We would like to remind you again to switch off all mobile phones and put electronic devices to silent mode. Thank you for your cooperation.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to the thematic forum on financial connectivity of Second Belt and Road Forum for International Cooperation, co-hosted by the Ministry of Finance of China and the People's Bank of China. The theme of this forum is facilitating sustainable financing and building an open and market-oriented investment and financing system for high-quality Belt and Road cooperation. And this forum includes the keynote speech and two sessions. One is on improving the policy and standard system and promoting sustainable financing. And the second is about building an open and market-oriented financing system for the BRI. Now, I would love to invite Mr. Liu Kun, Minister of Finance of China, to deliver a keynote speech.
Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, good morning. Welcome to Beijing in the springtime for the thematic forum on financial connectivity with a view of promoting high-quality development of BRI. On behalf of the Ministry of Finance of China, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you. 6 years since Chinese President Xi Jinping proposed the Belt and Road Initiative, the BRI has made a great stride and evolved into a popular global public good. With a focus on development, BRI seeks to advance connectivity and help participating countries to remove development bottlenecks and achieve win-win outcomes. The research of World Bank shows that BRI cooperation will cut the global trading costs by 1.1% to 2.2% and boost world economic growth by an extra 0.1 percentage point in 2019. With the efforts of all parties, a diversified, inclusive, and sustainable Belt and Road financing system is basically put in place. By diversified, we mean to innovate the financing models and mobilize funds from a myriad of channels. By inclusive, we mean to build the consensus of all parties and share the benefits of development. By sustainable, we mean to advocate green concept, forestall debt risks, and realize sound and harmonious development. A stable and sustainable financing arrangement is a long-term task of BRI. The Ministry of Finance of China will continue to work closely with the finance ministries of the related parties, MDBs, and financial institutions to promote a high-quality, high-standard, and sustainable financing system. We will build a financing policy framework for high-quality BRI and conduct project financing following high standards. We will implement the guiding principles on financing the development of BRI endorsed by the finance ministry of 28 countries. We will also work with the World Bank to research the environmental and social standards for BRI projects. We will give play to the Multilateral Cooperation Center for Development Finance established by China and 8 MDBs, including AIB, in order to support high-quality project preparation and capacity building. We will encourage all parties to follow international standards, meet the actual needs of developing countries, comply with the market rules, and enforce the principles of high quality, high standards, affordability, and sustainability into the BRI financing practice. We will build a debt sustainability framework to prevent and resolve debt risks. To deliver the development objective of BRI, we must balance the access to development finance with debt sustainability. On the basis of the IMF and the World Bank's debt sustainability framework for low-income countries, we will publish the debt sustainability framework for participating countries of BRI. We will encourage the Chinese financial institutions, BRI countries, and international organizations to use this tool on a voluntary basis, make the investment and financing decision more scientific, enhance their debt management capacity in order to promote sustainable and inclusive growth. We will support funds from various channels to participate into the long-term financing infrastructure and promote the openness of BRI cooperation. Through multilateral and bilateral cooperation platforms, we encourage multilateral development institutions to conduct co-financing with BRI countries. We encourage the use of models like third-party cooperation, multi-party cooperation, equity investment, and PPP financing in order to leverage the public funds and crowd in long-term capital and private sector capital so as to further improve the diversified, inclusive, and sustainable Belt and Road financing system. Dear guests and friends, as Chinese President Xi Jinping pointed out that Belt and Road is a new thing and requires all parties to follow the principles of cooperation and consultation for shared benefits in order to deliver the benefits of BRI to people of all countries. I hope all the guests here today could contribute your part to the sustainable financing and high-quality development of BRI. In closing, I wish this meeting a great success. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Liu. Now let's welcome Mr. Yi Gang, Governor of the PBOC, to deliver a speech.
Ladies and gentlemen, my dear guests, good morning to you all. First, at the outset, on behalf of the People's Bank of China, allow me to extend my welcome to you on the occasion of today's forum. What I'd like to do today is take this opportunity to share with you some of the work that has taken place over the past 2 years in terms of financial connectivity and work in support of the Belt and Road, and some thoughts about the future. So firstly, progress made to date in terms of how the finance sector has been supporting the Belt and Road Initiative. Today, the funding system for the Belt and Road has become more complete and more market-based and more diverse. According to the latest statistics, Chinese financial institutions have provided $440 billion of funding to Belt and Road projects to date, and over 320 billion RMB in overseas RMB funds have been raised. At the same time, China's capital markets have provided equity financing in the aggregate of over 500 billion RMB, and the Belt and Road countries and enterprises concerned have issued panda bonds in China for Belt and Road projects totaling over 65 billion RMB. Secondly, financial services have become more complete and more robust. As of the end of last year, 2018, 11 Chinese banks had established Tier 1 subsidiaries in 28 different Belt and Road countries. And 50 banks from over 22 Belt and Road countries were operating in China. The range of products available has also become more complete, spanning credit, guarantee, debt underwriting, mergers and acquisitions, risk management, payment clearance, and other services. Thirdly, international cooperation has deepened. The People's Bank of China has signed bilateral currency swap agreements with 21 central banks of the Belt and Road countries. We're deepening our collaboration with the IFC, EBRD, the African Development Bank, and other multilateral development institutions. The Asian Association for Financial Cooperation is also making important efforts to enhance exchanges amongst financial institutions in the region. And there is now a permanent exchange mechanism for exchanges and collaboration amongst Belt and Road banks, in particular the Interbank Consortium of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the China CEEC Interbank Association, and others are playing an important role. Fourthly is the priority that's being attached to a green development concept. There's a special committee of the Chinese Financial Association focused on green finance, which is paired up with the City of London, and in partnership have launched Belt and Road Green Investment Principles, which have already been signed on to by approximately 20 financial institutions from 10 different Belt and Road countries and regions. Fifthly, important strides have been made around capacity building. In particular, the IMF China Capacity Building Center was established just over a year ago, and in just over a year of operations, over 400 trainees from some 40 different Belt and Road countries have been trained at the center on a range of topics, including macroeconomics, monetary and fiscal policy, financial regulation, inclusive growth, and other key areas of macroeconomic and financial governance. Secondly, I'd like to speak about how we can further improve and deepen our engagement around investment and financing for Belt and Road projects. Proceeding from the principle of shared benefit through discussion and collaboration, we will focus on ensuring that enterprises are the main players, that operations are market-based, and that collaboration is win-win, producing mutual benefits, and that projects are of high quality. Against the backdrop of those general principles, we propose that market principles should be followed, giving a leading role to the market. Concessional funding, policy funding, government funding inputs should be reduced and should be leveraged primarily in order to drive more funding and more investment from the private sector. So in the Belt and Road context, private investment should be the mainstay, and government investment should basically serve the role of leading and driving that private sector investment.
Second, joint participation of multiple stakeholders. Belt and Road Initiative was proposed by China. Its opportunities and outcomes belong to the whole world. Belt and Road countries, developed countries, developing countries, international financial institutions, international financial centers should all contribute their respective strengths to Belt and Road investment and financing activities, jointly participate and conduct deepened cooperation to achieve complementarity and synergy so as to achieve consultation, contribution, and shared benefits. Third, better debt and risk management so as to achieve sustainable development. Regarding the debt issues of developing countries, we have to put it into perspective. If the increase of debt is coupled with better infrastructure, better livelihood, lower poverty rate, better productivity, and other better economic indicators, then it is conducive to long-term debt sustainability. Investment will create new cash flow and improve the country's ability to repay the debt. Investment and financing decisions should have to take into consideration the market participants' capital constraints, design financing structure reasonably and effectively control risk. At the same time, a country's total debt capacity should also be taken into consideration, improve debt coordination, so as to ensure debt sustainability. Fourth, building synergy between China's financial sector opening and Belt and Road Initiative, so that the opening of the financial sector will continue to support Belt and Road projects. In particular, local currency bond market development and opening will mobilize long-term capital participation and alleviate currency mismatch risk. So we encourage using local currencies in Belt and Road initiatives so that we can reduce exchange rate risk, as well as currency mismatch risk. Fifth, implementation of green development. We welcome more financial institutions and enterprises to support and sign Belt and Road investment principles, and also to focus more on projects with an impact on the environment and climate. We would also like to encourage better utilization of green financing tools. In this regard, transparency needs to be enhanced and information disclosure needs to be improved as well. Carbon emission as well as carbon reduction data should be more transparent. Financial connectivity is an important guarantee for long-term and stable momentum for Belt and Road Initiative. Open and market-oriented investment and financing system is an important requirement for high-quality development of Belt and Road Initiative. We welcome your insights as well as your wisdom and make efforts with us together to promote Belt and Road Initiative. I hope the financing connectivity thematic session a complete success. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor Yi. Now, let's welcome Madam Christine Lagarde, Managing Director of the IMF, to deliver a speech.
Good morning to all of you. Zou Yun, Governor Yi, Minister Liu, distinguished guests, it's my great pleasure to join you this morning and to see so many familiar and friendly faces in this room. I would like to thank the People's Bank of China, the Ministry of Finance, and all their staff for having organized this really great event around the theme of financial connectivity. As we meet during this today, beautiful springtime, those of you around yesterday might argue with me, I was told about this Chinese proverb which justifies the fact that we're all here together. The whole year must be planned for in the spring. So that is the perfect time to actually plan for future development and investment. Over the next 3 days, we will consider from our respective perspectives how the Belt and Road Initiative can better connect the world physically, financially, for years to come. And it is actually fitting to begin these conversations this morning around the theme of financial connectivity. Now, why is that? I don't need to convince you, all convinced that finance is critically important, and you're right. And if you look at history, it's obvious that finance played a key role in developing settlements, counters, and other places from which traders actually engaged in business and organized themselves. So where there is financial connection, and the Silk Road in the old days actually is clear evidence of that, we see that rapid improvement in quality of life can quickly follow. In our modern context, there are several important channels to achieving this greater financial connectivity, and this morning what I would like to do is focus on two in particular. One is increased capital mobility, will not surprise you coming from the IMF, and the second is increased financial inclusion. Shouldn't surprise you coming from the IMF either. So, first of all, mobility of capital flows. Allowing capital to flow across borders can help support inclusive growth. How is that? By enhancing investments in infrastructure, in manufacturing, and even in healthcare. However, the flow of capital flows and foreign direct investments in particular has been relatively low. If you compare the volume pre-financial crisis, 2.5% in low-income and developing countries, with today, 1.9%, there is clearly a shortfall of investment going in the direction of low-income countries. Greater openness to capital flows can also bring down the cost of finance, improve the efficiency of the financial sector, and allow capital to support productive investments and new jobs. And this is certainly the case here in China, where a further opening of the bond market to foreign investors will enable diversification and foster the internationalization of the renminbi. In fact, if you're interested in those bond issuance and in new bond markets, the IMF just recently published a book called The Future of China's Bond Market. It's only available in English language for the moment. There's a summary of it in Chinese, and the Chinese version will shortly be published. But it's pretty impressive, I have to say. It outlines how the inclusion of China's bonds in global indexes can be a game changer, not only for China's own financial markets, but also for global investors. The book also underscores the challenges that come with opening up capital markets. But thankfully, many of you in this room know what is required in order to secure this kind of markets. And we know that that includes sound financial regulations that are consistent and harmonized. It requires transparency, transparent rules for investment, and it requires that attention be paid to fiscal sustainability. Now, on this last point, China's increased focus on the long-term success of BRI projects is a very welcome step. As was, Mr. Minister, your announcement this morning of the debt sustainability framework, which I know your team has worked long and hard on, and where we have tried to help as much as we can. But this focus on long-term success and debt sustainability as well are two very, very welcome steps in the direction of building safe and long-standing projects that will bring prosperity in the countries where they are established. Now, this is not enough, and I know that there is more work underway from the discussions that I've had with Governor Lee and with yourself. You're also working on ensuring that investment in BRI projects are green, low carbon, and climate resilient. Now, these factors all combined should lead to increased fiscal, economic, and environmental sustainability. And as I was listening to you, Governor Yi, I was thinking that if bankers go green, our grandchildren will be better off. As a young grandmother, I'm grateful to you. Please keep at it. Capital mobility is critically important, but so is financial inclusion, and that's my second point. A few numbers first. Close to half of the adult population in low and middle income Asia-Pacific economies do not have a bank account. Less than 10% have ever borrowed from a financial institution. And yet we know that closing the financial gap is an economic must-have for nations to thrive in the 21st century. Our own analysis at the IMF shows that if the least financially inclusive countries in Asia narrowed the financial gap to the level of Thailand, an emerging market economy, the poverty rate in those countries could be reduced by nearly 4%. So how can we get there? I would contend that the first and primary focus should be on including women and the rural communities. The financial gender gap for women in developing countries is about 9% and has remained largely unchanged since 2011. So, we have work to do. And there is no silver bullet, but we know that fintech can play a catalyzing role. We have seen it. In Cambodia, for instance, strong public-private partnerships in supporting mobile finance has led to a tripling of the number of microfinancial institutions since 2011. These institutions have now provided loans to over 2 million new borrowers, representing nearly 20% of the adult population. Many of these citizens never had a bank account before. Now they can save for the future. Maybe they can start a business and they will be borrowers for the future. Now these are ideas that don't work only in Cambodia. They can work anywhere. But countries have to be willing to partner and learn from each other. And that is why, together with the World Bank, last October in Bali, we launched the Bali FinTech Agenda, which actually sets some of the key principles for countries to establish a safe and healthy environment within which FinTech companies can actually prosper. This kind of arrangement, the Bali Agenda, which is no more than a framework that is voluntary, as you referred to you that sustainability framework, Mr. Minister, is a very good form of international cooperation. It might be a first step, but it's a critical one. So, let me now conclude. I began with this Chinese proverb about preparing in the spring what you will harvest during the rest of the year. I would like to finish with the Western voice. John Donne wrote about the Silk Road itself, and he was right. He said, no man, could have said no woman, but anyway. No man is an island entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. So just like our history, our modern financial landscape reveals the enormous potential of better connections between nations and between financial institutions across borders. If we find ways to harness that potential, planting now for future generations to come and mindful of that sustainability from the debt and environmental point of view, having in mind the fact that transparency is actually the best way to be accountable for future generations, I am sure that those projects will bring prosperity, jobs, and a real future for those grandchildren of ours. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Lagarde. Now let's welcome Kristalina Georgieva, Chief Executive Officer of the World Bank, to deliver a speech.
Good morning, and thank you very much for the opportunity for us at the World Bank to be part of this important discussion today. Mr. Liu, honorable participants, my comments will focus on financing for high-quality infrastructure, top priority for the Belt and Road Initiative, and what we at the World Bank Group are doing, and we will do more in that regard. We have recently finished a report called Beyond the Gap. It estimates that investments amounting $2.7 trillion, this is about 8.2% of GDP per year, are necessary in low and middle income countries between now and 2030 to close the infrastructure gap. And today, we're somewhere 2 to 3 times short in fueling these critical investments. So the question for all of us is, what can we do to open up more opportunities for private sector to invest, because without it, we will not close this gap. For us at the World Bank Group, this translates into 3 interconnected priorities. First, to step up our own financial contribution across the developing world. And in the case of the Belt and Road Initiative countries, we currently have about $80 billion in investments in infrastructure. Another $10 billion are on the way. Thanks to the support of our shareholders, we are now able to increase our capital by 50%, and therefore we will do more. But that is not going to close the gap on its own. And this is the reason we have adopted what we call maximizing finance for development, primarily focused on the infrastructure gap in developing countries. And in that approach, we concentrate on 2 very important areas. One, right investment climate. Private sector won't come unless conditions to invest are amenable, and that means our work concentrates on stable and transparent regulation, capacity, institutional capacity, to secure the right conditions for private sector, standards in place, and in the world of climate change, standards for low carbon, climate resilient investments are paramount. The finance for a first mover or innovator in place, and reducing risks. We publish an annual Doing Business report. I would like to congratulate China for remarkable success. Last year, China jumped from 78 to 46th place in this ranking. And we are committed to work with the countries participants in the Belt and Road Initiative so they improve their investment climate. And we know from experience that this pays off. I will give you two examples. One, in Egypt, the World Bank Group helped the government make the energy sector financially viable, significantly reducing energy subsidies, moving to market-based principles to attract investments. And the result is very impressive, some $20 billion of private sector investments, primarily in renewable energy and gas. A second example is the work we do with the Compact with Africa countries, together with the IMF. Our support for investment climate reforms in these countries has led to 36% increase in foreign direct investments, and that is at the time when foreign direct investments in the rest of Africa actually had gone down. So that investment climate is paramount if we are to succeed. Secondly, and actually Ms. Lagarde talked quite a lot about it, we concentrate on strong macro framework and developing financial markets. Strong macroeconomic policies, the very careful use of macroprudential tools to mitigate the build-up of risks, strong financial sector supervision, and close attention to the potential risks of non-bank intermediation are all parts of this policy framework. We know that deeper domestic financial markets in local currency enhance the resilience of developing countries against volatile capital flows, and that is what undermines long-term investments the most. Money coming and going in an unpredictable fashion. And that focus helps policymakers to create the environment so capital goes to the most productive long-term investments. China's own experience provides plenty of lessons on how to manage capital flows and how to leverage the benefits of finance for development. And as China's role in global finance increases, there is ample scope for cooperation between China, the international finance institutions, many presented in this room, and most developing countries to maximize the benefits of Belt and Road investments and contribute to a better management of associated risks. We are working a lot on that question, what are these risks and how they can best be managed. We at the World Bank Group are honored to be partners with all of you, and we look forward to be working with you so we can turn that aspiration of developing countries into a reality. It sounds, closing this gap sounds almost impossible, but then let's remember a great leader from Africa, Nelson Mandela, who said to us, impossible until it is done. We will do it. Thank you.
谢谢
Thank you, Madam Georgieva. Now I'd love to invite Madam Carrie Lam, Chief Executive of the Hong Kong Special Administration of China, to deliver a speech.
Minister Liu Kun, Governor Yilan, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's an honor for me to lead the Hong Kong delegation to attend the second Belt and Road Forum for International Cooperation, and a privilege to be invited to speak at this financial connectivity thematic forum. I just realized that there are 3 ladies speaking one after another at this opening session, comprising only 5 speakers. I think this is a great symbol of the inclusiveness and diversity represented by the Belt and Road Initiative. So, Christine, don't worry. Under your able leadership at IMF, the women are catching up in the financial world. Belt and Road is a vision that is driving changes and spurring development across the world. As a special administrative region of the People's Republic of China, blessed with one country, 2 systems, and well-established international links, Hong Kong aspires to play an active role in this initiative. With the support of the central government, we entered into an arrangement with the National Development and Reform Commission in December 2017 for advancing Hong Kong's full participation in and contribution to the Belt and Road Initiative. And in February last year, we hosted a seminar entitled Strategies and Opportunities under the Belt and Road Initiative, leveraging Hong Kong's advantages, meeting the country's needs, and the great hall of the people here in Beijing. In my view, the single most relevant advantage of Hong Kong that could best meet the country's needs is our financial services, given our status as a global international financial center. According to the Global Financial Center Index, Hong Kong is ranked number 3 globally, right behind New York and London. Many Belt and Road economies aspire to draw foreign investments in infrastructure that underpins core economic activity and improves people's livelihood. Asian Development Bank estimates a funding demand of $1.7 trillion each year in developing countries in Asia alone between 2016 and 2030. Infrastructure investments are among the most complicated asset classes. Funding of cross-border or regional projects becomes even more challenging. While multiple public financing mechanisms have been put in place, financing the enormous funding needs in the long run calls for private sector involvement. Actually, the need for market-led private sector investment is what Governor Yilan has just told us a moment ago. To attract more private capital for projects requires deep experience and expertise to assess and manage risk. On this front, the Hong Kong Monetary Authority set up an Infrastructure Financing Facilitation Office, IFFO, in 2016, aiming to bring together like-minded partners with the necessary expertise to improve operational efficiency and reduce project risk. By generating demonstration effect for the market, we believe IFFO will help draw on greater private capital participation on a broader scale. In a similar light, the Hong Kong Insurance Authority launched the Belt and Road Insurance Exchange Facilitation Platform last December to pull together key stakeholders to exchange intelligence on risk management and insurance, forge alliances, and facilitate networking. Hong Kong can also help in many other ways, given our status as a global financial center. Under the one country, 2 systems principle, Hong Kong has maintained its market-based financial system, underpinned by the rule of law and internationally aligned regulatory regimes. We have a deep capital market, with our stock market boasting the world's 6th largest capitalization at $4.2 trillion, which is over 11 times our GDP. Last year, we topped the world for the 6th time in 10 years in initial public offerings, taking in some $37 billion. We also have one of the largest bond markets in the region and are developing into a regional hub for green finance. In addition, We are Asia's second largest international banking center, behind only Japan. Our asset and wealth management sector manages about $3.1 trillion, two-thirds of that coming from non-Hong Kong investors. We are as well the biggest offshore RMB center in the world, processing more than 75% of global offshore RMB payments. We have vast experience in connecting the mainland's capital markets with the rest of the world, where our various mutual market asset schemes and recognition of funds have all continued apace to strengthen connectivity that facilitates the two-way flow of cross-border funds. In short, Hong Kong is a one-stop destination of choice to serve as a premier financial and risk management center for Belt and Road's big-ticket projects. With an unprecedented share of about 65% of the world's population and 40% of global GDP, the Belt and Road will create abundant work, business, and investment opportunities in the region. To realize this potential, investment in infrastructure today will lay the foundation for achieving inclusive and sustainable growth. Hong Kong is prepared to work with other economies in the region to make a palpable difference in a joint pursuit of shared win-win economic development. I wish you all a very rewarding quarter. Thank you very much.